Hi, this is Maya Wells, and welcome to my presentation on climate change and how it affects biodiversity loss. Did you know that Oregon has 76 endangered plant species, with 88 species moving in that direction? As seen on the graph, plants are one of the most affected species by climate change. This is due to their extreme sensitivities and lack of mobility. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about how climate change affects biodiversity loss. I was interested in this topic because I volunteer at the seed bank on campus, which, fun fact, is the second largest seed bank in the US. Essentially, at the seed bank, my job is to clean and sort seeds from plants to protect them from biodiversity loss and essentially going extinct. Anyways, in this presentation, I'm going to relate biodiversity loss to the frameworks that we've talked about in this class. The three main factors that I'm going to talk about are temperature changes, precipitation patterns, and extreme weather events. As we've talked about in class, one of the most clear impacts of climate change is temperature increases. This is both seen on the cold and warm ends of the spectrum. With more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere from human activities, this has had drastic effects on global temperature. As we see on the graph, temperatures have been on the rise since the early 1900s. These temperature increases have terrible effects on the longevity of plants. Every species has a thermal range that they're used to functioning at, whether they are cold species adapted to mountains or dry desert species. They are all adapted to their environment. So when temperature increases by a degree, it disrupts their functionability. Increased temps lead to increased evapotranspiration, which pulls more moisture out of soils and plants. Even if the rainfall stays the same, there is less water readily available. Lots of plants try to adapt to the temperature changes, but with how rapid these temperatures are increasing, many species can't follow, which in turn leads to biodiversity loss. Even though temperature patterns are the easiest to relate to climate change and the most clear, precipitation changes have the greatest impact on biodiversity loss. For a 1% change in average rainfall, there is an increase in 2% biodiversity loss for plant species. Climate change hasn't necessarily decreased the amount of rainfall we are getting, and we can see this in the chart on the screen from Portland. The amount of rainfall hasn't really changed over the amount of years, although climate change has made our precipitation patterns more unpredictable and variable. This was talked about in class as noise. There's more disruptions in the atmosphere, which affect the precipitation patterns. Nowadays, we are seeing more droughts and heavy rainfall compared to the past, where rain patterns may have been more consistent. Similar to temperature, plants are used to a specific precipitation pattern. So when there are long periods of more or less precipitation, it throws off their germination and life cycle. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and unpredictable as global warming intensifies. Intense heat waves, vast droughts, and large storms causing floods are impacting the plant community. Plants are impacted by the smallest changes in temperature and precipitation. So, when extreme weather events occur, such as a flood, it completely destroys a whole entire ecosystem of plants. When there's an average change in temperature in the environment, a plant can adapt and evolve. But when extreme weather events occur, they don't give plants time to adapt or recover, so it completely wipes them out. Climate change is increasing the frequency, intensity, and unpredictability of these events, which poses long term threats to the survival of many plant species. All of these threats that we've talked about lead into why conservation is so important. I don't foresee climate change to improve that much in the future, which is kind of sad, but it's the truth. So it's upon us to make a change. Volunteering at the seed bank is a wonderful method to help protect and preserve the longevity of plants. The work I've been doing there has made me feel uplifted and like I can actually make a difference in the world, even if it's just from sorting seeds. Thanks for listening. And these are my resources. Also, not included was some of the photos that I took from your amazing in class presentations.